Three, two, one. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going over the UniVersus Tier List that I made. About 2 months ago in June, we made a pre-Season 2 prediction tier list, and the idea of that was what do both me, the content creator, and you guys as the community think are the best 30 characters in the game. And so this is the same idea, but post Season 2. So what this video is I would look at the top 30. Inside of UniVersus, there are actually too many characters. There's like 160 plus characters that exist in our game. And so doing a classic tier list where I put everybody on the tier list, it normally takes me like an hour and a half. And I don't want to spend all of that time talking about characters that frankly just don't matter when it comes to competitive play. Are they good for kitchen table fun? Yes, absolutely. But for competitive play like we're talking about here, they don't necessarily matter. And so I want to talk about the top 30. And so we're going to talk top 30 characters in the game. The idea of this is that the list changes every month. There's a small asterisk here because I'm a little behind. As I said, the previous one was in June, and it's August. And so my goal is to update these a little more frequently than that. And then lastly, again, I want to know what my top 30 are, and more importantly, what your top 30 are. And so I've sent out a survey that you guys can find in the description of this video below for the next tier list. And that is, what do you as the community think is the top 30? And so without further ado, we have to look at the old tier list first. And so with the Season 2 out of the way, this tier list was created and crafted before any of the Season 2 regionals. The one that was the OCE event that was won by Ochaco 4, the US event that was won by Elder Togoro, and the UK event which was won by Godzilla. And we're gonna count the fan-made event that was won by Void Rodan. And so those four characters on the list, off the list, whatever, but this data is not for that. And so what we're going to do is I want to take a brief look. This is what the list was, and you can pause the video, go back and watch the old video, but we're going to compare it to what I think is the new list, starting with an update. My top 30, and in my 30th position, which I have a new rubric for. I've got a little star here, and then new to list category. My 30th position, I have Toru Kagure. I found last season, that blocking was really essential. I think blocking was really, really important for the game. And Toru made blocking difficult, combined with the fact that it wasn't even real speed pump, it was fake speed pump in the idea of modifying block modifiers. And so just giving like +3 speed, maybe +4 speed, depending on how large the stage got, felt really good in this idea. As well as the idea of playing long, difficult strings was kind of pretty good inside of the set, especially with things like Godzilla existing and like cheating pluses to the checks and all that jazz. And so making one move, the last move of the turn, a little harder to play and be forced to replay to then commit out, and then Toru like backswinging, I think is really, really strong. Are there characters that can do it better than her? I think so, and that's why I have her in the 30th spot. 29, down 22 spots, was Kiryu. I overvalue this character. This character did not show up in the slightest at any of these events. I still think this character is good. I think that the idea of the Earth good order packages are still strong, but there's just nobody's representing him, and I think it's a case of like, why be Mecha Godzilla when I could just be Godzilla, you know? Up next, in my 28th spot, I have Koji Koda. I still think this character's got a lot of legs. I think this character, if we get going, if we get rocking, plays too many cool attacks, draws too many cards, plays strings, sometimes plays like 3 turns in a row based on the amount of cards that you can make cheat towards progressive and not count with progressive. The only big issue here is that they're all for printed. And so like killing people sometimes can be very hard, especially if they are decent enough at blocking, because we give no speed, we give no damage. Up one, we've got Jiro. Jiro top 8'd the community event, and I think I had her, I had her at my 30th spot previously. And I think this character is cool. I think the win con is kind of the idea here, but I think she just folds to Rodan, which is like her #1 Bane. And I think it's really, really easy for that character to just explode to that one. And I think Rodan's pretty good in the post, or for the season 2 meta. Up next, we've got Asui. Down 2 spots. I still think this character has a lot of legs as well. But the big thing about Asui is that she wants to block a lot, and there's a lot of speed going around, right? Like we talked with Toru, there's a lot of just like free speed. And so back in the last format, her really good matchup was like younger Togoro, who didn't give that speed buff, but her really bad matchups was something like Endeavor 3. And we have a better Endeavor 3 in the form of Rodan, and even characters like Amajiki is now giving too much speed to deal with. Characters like Endeavor still. Characters like Ochaco 4 can just give speed and kind of outmaneuver what this character wants to do. And so I still think that if you put the time into her, I think you can make an Asui work. And this is a staunch Asui believer. I just don't think it's there. Momo, so my issue with Momo, right, in down 4 spots is at the time I overvalued the idea of Momo being able to actually kill you and finish a game, complete a game. Since then, hilariously, after all the regionals were done, I found a Momo list that doesn't even attempt to try and kill you, but tries to have an alternate win condition and just play really good defense and then does it. The issue with that is that you run the risk of going to time and not getting a single game in, or you play for 35 minutes, you lose game 1, and now it's impossible for you to win because your deck is very fraudulent on its offense. It's very hard for you to kill people. And so with that, I think that like other people understood that Momo wasn't quite good enough. And so I valued her at 21st before, and she's 25th now. She probably gets booted as more characters jump in, just because, again, having an alternate win condition character where the alternate win con is like weird and obscure probably just isn't good enough for the game. Next, we've got Shigaraki. I value this guy really, really high, and then nobody showed up with him. I think that people just valued other 7 hand size characters, or were afraid that people like Godzilla were just going to explode this character of just like, hey, if you just hold the wrong block zone, I'm just gonna kill you for it. And so I wanted to see more. The little bit of looking that I did for this character post, like during the season, was like, the guy just didn't do much. He just didn't have enough. He just didn't quite have enough. And so I tanked Shigaraki. Maybe with the Death in Order stuff for Attack on Titan, maybe he jumps back up in popularity, but he's not doing it for me. Up next, new to the list, we've got Mechagodzilla, Biomenace. 6 hand size aggro character that plays a lot of really cool ideas under the order symbol. I think this is the new primo order character to be playing, and the symmetrical +2/+2 stats is very good. Not to mention like the bottom response is okay, of like I take my damage from the attack, doesn't even have to be unblocked, like I'll partial block breaker you somehow, and then I selectively commit one of your foundations is like really good. And so this character being like, hey, remove my 3 for the 2/2, all of my moves are better than what they are printed on the card, eventually I can kill you, is neat. But I think that the remove 3 cost makes your deck building a little weird for any other character that just randomly gets 2/2 on stuff. Up next, we've got Recovery Girl. Recovery Girl had a top 4 finish in the UK, which is very cool. I still don't really believe in this character, and this character has a really hard time versus the big heavy hitting decks like Godzilla. And so I think if Recovery Girl existed in, I don't know, the EU or the OCE or the US or regional, I think that she maybe could have won the entire event. But I don't know. I don't believe in this character. Maybe with new AOT stuff, she goes a little bit higher under the life symbol, but there's not a lot going here, and I think this is my personal bias, and this character is like worse than she is. But I think 22nd is a respectable spot for me not liking the character. From here, Toga 4. I still super believe in this character. I think this character is one of those pet characters that if you like what this character is doing, you easily get to kind of play the deck however you want, and you get to play a bunch of different character cards. While I was at Gen Con, after all the regional stuff was done, I played against Phil Birch playing his Toga 4 deck, and he turned 2'd me twice. He was just like, oh, I'm just going to be woman. Boop. I'm woman on every attack, but I'm a 6-hand size. I get +5 damage instead of +4. I still get combined fire powers, and combined fire powers mill character cards, and so I get more. And it was just like, it was a super, super cool amalgam of a deck. And I was like, this is really, really awesome. With that said, she only gets access to new cards under the life symbols. I don't know what she does after this, but this character I think was good enough, but nobody represented her, and so the people didn't believe, and so I'm gonna incline to also not believe. And there we have it. There is 30 through 21. You can see a lot of my spots are characters that dropped down a tier, and we will look at the whole thing at the end. With that, we'll move on to number 20, Mountain Lady 2. This character is like the definition of 6-hand size aggro. She's just like, she's the benchmark of like, you must be this tall to ride 6-hand size aggro. Kind of one of those live and die off of finding 23 pro hero, but with the ability to build it in with Titan Cliff, it's like a little easier. I think that the issue with this character is, again, like younger Togoro's idea, it was just too easy to just block her moves. It was just too easy to make her stuff happen, and she wanted to play on like turn 4, turn 5, and by that time that you tried to kill somebody on turn 4, they had already built up enough to like actually block out her strings, and that's how I feel. Also, her play pattern is like a little boring, and so I think people just didn't represent the character very much. It's not a very exciting deck, to say the least. Very good deck, not a very exciting deck. Up next, we got Wolfwood down huge. I still think this character is very, very strong. I think this character is very good, and I'm excited to see what he does in the future. But I think I overvalued him because I had one really good local the week before, 2 weeks before. I was like, this character is crazy. And then I did a little bit more testing and was like, well, I don't know what this character does against this guy. And I don't know what Wolfwood does against this character. What does Wolfwood do against this character? And I just kind of like went down the list and was like, whoa, this guy kind of folds to a lot of different things. Or better yet, he doesn't push through. Other characters don't fold to him, rather. And so I think that his matchups are bad, but I think in a vacuum, I think this character is very rock solid. I mean, you just read the character and you can see how good this character is. Up next, new to the list, we've got Hawks. Hawks got a top 4 finish in the UK or US regional. New to the list. Again, I'm not a Hawks believer, but I think that the things that were happening in that Hawks list were cool enough, and I think that the player cared about it enough. Full disclosure, it was one of my main sparring partners, Ryan. Ryan believed in this Hawks deck and took it to a crazy finish, which felt very awesome. It felt very, very good. So I'm happy for him, and I'm happy that he got to showcase Hawks. I think he might have just had like the perfect bracket run or something, because I went into that tournament not believing, and I came back hilariously eating crow. Cool. Hawks is at 18th. Not a character I think that I'm gonna touch, but you can't deny if blocking matters, saying that your moves don't get the speed that they justly deserve is pretty good. Or it's difficult for you to block my moves because the speed pump's a little bit better. It's good. So neat. Up next, 17th, we got Jester. Up 6 spots. I believed in this character a lot. TamCardwell got top 16 at it, and I lost to, I think, one of the I lost in top 16 to Ghidorah, which feels like an impossible matchup. I think if I literally ended up in any other spot except for fighting Ghidorah, I think that if I dodge Ghidorah in top cuts, I walk to the finals. Truthfully, I think that my deck was very, very good, very suited for the tournament, and I think that it was very, very strong. My only losses in Swiss were to Amajiki, and I don't even remember the other one. I don't remember, but like, I fought against Toga, I fought against Endeavor, I beat an Amajiki, I beat Rodan, there were so many characters that I was in these top 30 lists that I was duking and playing with. And so I think Jester can do it, but I think you have to be dedicated in order to do it. Just like, I mean, we'll go back just like with the Hawks idea, right? Very close, very similar. Up next, we've got younger Togoro, up 2 spots. This character did top 8 the webcam event, I believe, the community webcam regional, but I don't think that we might have top cutted the UK event. I don't remember. So if you did talk about the UK event, I apologize. I looked at all the lists briefly today. But this character still exists. This character is still very good. If you go to Deadlock, you'll die. True 100% Unleashed just is a trillion damage and is very fast the longer the game goes on. And it's just really strong. It's just very strong. Ryukyu, I pushed her down 2 spots strictly because I thought that like other characters deserved to be a little higher, but this is one of those characters that like is the pinnacle of combo flow 6 hand size aggro, that has all the defense that you need. Of like, if you have clean fundamentals and you are a good Ryukyu player, you will win every event. You just will win them all. And so just like looking at what Ryukyu can do in this format with the pieces that she has is just like so strong. And I think as the game goes on, she only gets better because her attack kit is so clean. She draws cards, she gets momentum, she gives stats, she makes checks happen. Like it's so clean. She clears progressive by lifting cards. It's just everything you want to do with a good fundamental UniVersus. Where she gets tripped up is just like when you get flashy, right? If you can outflash her core fundamentals, then she can kind of get styled on. Next is Overhaul, down 3 spots. The only reason I dropped Overhaul on my list is because I think that it was just truly representation. I think that there are just like other decks performing better than what Overhaul was doing, and I predicted that Overhaul wasn't going to do anything this format. And you guys are going to see, as you remember back for your tier list, Overhaul was number 1 on your guys' tier list, but he was middling on mine. And there are worse characters that do better, but I can't deny like the power that Overhaul has. I think that if you are kind of the same idea with Ryukyu, Overhaul's got that classic good fundamentals UniVersus gameplay, but he has combat tricks. He's got cool ideas of building the bonus card face down, flipping for making math wonky, gaining a little health, playing one for free at the end is just a beating. And so like the idea of classic good fundamental UniVersus happens with Ryukyu. It also happens with Overhaul, but he's a little trickier. Next we got Mina Ashido, down 4 spots. I think I had her at 9th before, it looks like. This character just like is on the cusp of greatness, is on the absolute cusp of if she needs this, just, we keep saying it about this character and one other character that's on the list. She just needs one more tool, and she's gonna get there. And I think that she probably she lost a lot of games, having lost the die roll and just getting burnt out of just like, I didn't quite get that. I put you to 3, and then I have no defense on my 6 hand size aggro character, and so you died, and so I died. But I think this character is very, very cool. There is a prime Mina that exists that I think could easily go and win a huge massive tournament. Next we got Byakko, up 7 spots. I didn't respect this character at all. I still don't respect this character at all, but this is one of the characters that inside of my own personal testing absolutely rocked me every time that I played it. It was like unbelievably hard to fight this character, and that's the strength of Byakko. Is Byakko has the idea of, hey, in some matchups I'm just going to steamroll you, and in some matchups I'm going to roll over and die, but there are still enough tricks, specifically with referee jury and leveraging 38 health, that like it is possible to just live long enough to survive, live long enough to accumulate your pieces and find some cool unblockable massive damage. So the character is neat, not a very Tam flavored character, but I can't disrespect the fact that it's a good character. And then my last one, whoa, that is the craziest, blurriest picture of woman I've ever seen in my entire life. Up 6 spots to 11th, we have Woman. This character, very Byakko idea of she hits like a truck. I wonder why Woman is so blurry like this. She hits like a truck. She absolutely tries to mollywop you every time that we you play the game. She's got some pretty good defensive tricks of like blocking a free block once per turn and a bonus one. She gets things like combined firepower, which I undervalued inside of the format, specifically in your 5 hand size character. I saw a lot of Rodans who were like, hey, Rodan is too slow and is not doing enough for me. I want to kill you and woman is the character I'm going to sideboard. So take away the 7 hands as character, toss in the 5-hander, and absolutely go to town. But here is the tier list we have again. Again, a couple of these that came down, whether it be in their own tier, and a couple that went up. Looking at Jester, Togoro, Byakko, and Woman, and I really like what this list looks like at the end. Again, I think like the big outliers here is like it's really tough for these in the middle characters of like Mina, Overhaul, Ryukyu. This is like 13, 14, 15 of like what am I supposed to put here? Because these characters, Mina never top cut, but she did show up to events, but Overhaul and Ryukyu just like didn't show up, and so there's the question. All right, so to number 10, we've got Elder Togoro, the winner of the U.S. Regional. And the reason that I have the winner of the U.S. Regional down so low is this was a bit of a meme deck, if we're gonna be honest. And I'm sure you can ask Travis himself, right? This deck had some crazy ups and downs of like all it takes is a singular. This was a very good deck. I'm not taking anything away from it, but this deck had such a gaping hole that like this was the perfect tournament to take advantage of that gaping hole. And that was just if you didn't have a speed reset, this deck just killed you. If you were purely focused on debuffing damage, if you're purely focused on stopping the blocking multiple things rather than blocking one really big thing, this deck just kind of rolled you. And so I don't think that this deck will ever show up again, per se. It might sweep somebody. It just reminds me a lot of the like one punch true form all might deck that was like, I play Detroit Smash, I make it a 30 for 30, you can't block it on turn 2 catch. This is just what this Elder Togoro deck was doing, but instead of doing it on turn 2, it would do it on turn 7. Because it would build up his discard pile and then true 100% smash and kill you, or twisting as their Inferno kill you. And so there's that. But cool deck nonetheless, and I think Elder Togoro outside of that meme deck still has a lot of potential, and I hope that like Travis was all inning on that one combo. That's just a combo that can exist in your Death Togoro deck, and you just like still do your normal thing, right? Like you can still just like do the thing, which is pretty cool. Up next we've got Endeavor down 8 spots. Yeah, I had this character as the number 1 character, and he just didn't show up at all. He got represented. He played some stuff, but the +2 speed was just like not good enough when we had a bunch of Rodans running around. It was not good enough whenever like my strings were not actually decapitating Ghidorahs. My strings were not finding the 34 to kill Godzilla. This character's time in the spotlight just might be over. He's not the number 1 character. He might just be a little worse now. Number 8th, we've got Mimic. I have no idea where this character went. I still think this character is crazy. If you told me that Mimic got banned tomorrow, I would not be surprised. Just because he plays like an incredibly different game than everybody else, with like how he interacts with assets and like your ability to interact with these really strong pieces, and his ability to be an 8-hand sized character, picking up an attack on his turn, picking up an attack on your turn to then either block with or sling at you on his turn. His character is incredibly consistent, like terribly consistent, and is very strong with the amount of damage pump and damage reduction that Mimic has available to him. It's very, very good. I think more people should have given this character a shot. Up next, we have up 21 spots, all the way up. We have Godzilla King of the Monsters. Hey guys, +3 damage on your 5 difficulty moves works when you're the Chaos Symbol. Having access to things like Walk the Dog and Black Abyss was just like primo for Godzilla messing around. Again, the first form, anytime that we saw it on the big stage, it was not very impressive. Sometimes it was impactful. Sometimes it was impactful in the wrong way. But this character is like +2 to my attacks, and then all my moves are absolutely massive. Just went a long way. And ended up with like in the UK there were 4 of them inside of top 8. They represented 50% of the characters. And so like I put a lot of disrespect on Godzilla. Obviously I put him as like 28th. And you guys showed up with him, which is very cool. Toga Toga up 2 spots. Again, what a bridesmaid's character. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of idea with Toga. What is happening with this character that, like, she got access to a ton of really awesome, good chaos and life support with the idea of Black Abyss, and she still only, I believe she only had 1 representative in top cuts in the US, and it was top 16. I think that she lost in top 16. And so, like, I still think this character is very, very solid, but the issue might be the fact of, like, having 1 attack be really good, the first attack you play be really good with the +3/+2, and then the rest of them all be printed might not be good enough, even if your character can stun 1 across the rest of the board. It's there. I might be overvaluing what Toga's got going on, but man, I want to believe that this character can do it. I do. She has all the tools. I think we just have to find, like, you have to find a good bracket. You got to find somebody who's, like, a little susceptible to stun. Yeah, I think this character can do it, but maybe she's a little too high. Up next, new to the list, totally off my radar before in the preseason, is this Pony. Coming in at 5th. I think this character is very, very strong. I think that her ability to be both aggressive and defensive, the amount of cycling that she gets to do, the fact that she gets to change the zones of not just her attacks, but your rival's attacks to make sure that perfect blocking is happening. This character presses a lot of buttons, and this character is very fun to play. Very, very fun to play. And I love all the technology that has come out of all of these different pony decks. It's very, very cool. In the 4th spot, up 11. So I had this character at 15, literally the middle of the pack. Proved me wrong for sure. It's just King Ghidorah. This character is, I'm gonna say this, and this might be crazy to say. This is the most annoying character to play against in the game. The fact that you get to perfect block 1 thing per turn, the fact that or you get to play the absolute best attack out of your discard pile with things like true 100%, or whether it be on offense or defense. And then, like, the idea of, like, block math is so wonky. You have access to all of the plus or minus speed if you're at 10 or less health cards with your own support plus EA support under 2 different symbols for both evil and void. This deck is just so annoying to fight. Yeah, very, very annoying to deal with, but has, I think, some problems in the metagame that you can fight through. Because if you get caught with your pants down, it's like, hey, this one's for 10, this one's for 10, this one's for 10, you're dead. But you can say that against everybody, you know. Down 3 spots. Down 2 spots. It should be say down 2 spots, because I believe I put Ochaco as the 2nd best character of the game. So this is a messed up graphic. I'm so sorry. We have Ochaco 4. Again, I think this character is cracked. I think this character is very, very strong. I think that this character's ability to chain out strings when you don't interact with her is borderline unfair, and the fact that she gets to choose speed or damage on her moves lets you really tailor your attacking turn the way that you want. The biggest issue with this character is she has to keep finding gas, which is why, like, Tasty Riff is so important to the list of, like, just being a 6-hand size character as Ochaco 4 just isn't good enough, and so you need something like Tasty Riff or having access to battle or release to redraw cards, or turning your jaw jammers into 8 or maybe 11 damage throws representing 2 attacks, you know, to like really push her up and over the edge. Very cool, but the lack of defense whenever her game plan doesn't work, abysmal. It's very, very hard for this character to have any sort of meaningful defense outside of, like, some hand traps, which either you can play around because you can assume that's the only defense you have, or you just push through it and wait for a turn. In the 2nd spot, we have Amajiki up 1. I knew this character was going to be good, but he's just so strong. He's just so strong, guys. Of giving the minus damage and then saying that I always get a momentum. It's always that face-up momentum that always does stuff. He has essentially a 2nd stage, and he goes into deadlock without actually having the 11 foundations, because he gets to utilize his entire momentum as extra resources. Not to mention, once per turn, he gets to obliterate one of your attacks. So you become -1 hand size because he'll give this attack -6 damage. And so, like, if you can't find the 20 through being, if you're a 6-hand size character, being a 5-hand size character, or even crazier, if you're a 5-hand size character, becoming a 4-hand size character, because you just lose an attack. This character is very hard to navigate and push against. And that leaves, obviously, who I think the number one character is in the game, and it's just Rodan. I think after the success of this character after this season is so telling, is so obvious, of this character has seen play and has been represented on all three symbols, has top cut with all 3 symbols, my personal favorite being the all symbol. I think that the technology that existed with this character is so cool, with the plus speed or minus speed, looking at the top cards of your deck, knowing what I'm going to draw, manipulating the top card of your discard pile in order to like have either draw bonus cards off the supersonic flight or get yourself the best block modifiers, or I'm going to manipulate and so I get more attack cards or moves, and I look at the top 4 and I have my turn planned out fully. It's a very, very cool deck that I don't think is going anywhere, even though it's not getting a ton of love inside of Attack on Titan. I think this character, just every deck that just top cut these events could easily just go to season 3 and top cut again. The character is just that potent, that strong. Just we talked about good fundamentals. This character does it. He says, I block everything and you block nothing, and I know how good my turn is, which are just like incredible things for a character to do. And so from here, this is my list. You can see a lot of characters went up, a lot of characters went down, roughly about 50-50 of like me trying to figure out whether a thing went up 1 spot or down a spot. Like I think I straight swapped like Amajiki and Ochaco. I think I swapped them. And then off the list, I've got Vash, Jin, Nejire, and Kurama as characters that I think that just got edged out in the top 30. And so with that, we'll move on to what you guys thought. And here is the community's old ideas with like Overhaul at the top and Ryukyu at the top, and like all of these characters I had in my middling section, middling or lower. And my number one for this season was Rodan, all the way down here at 12th for you guys. But you guys on your list, you had things like Hawks and I didn't. What else did you guys have on your list that I didn't? You guys had Toru on your list and I didn't. And I think that's it. And there are quite a few things on your guys' list that like truth be told, like Bakugo was almost on my list at 30th, but I decided to swap it out for Toru. But we will now go ahead and see what your new ideas are, and that is here. So you said that the number 1 character in the game is King Ghidorah, which I think is such an interesting pick. I get that he's annoying to play against, but I don't think that he's so good that he deserves to have this spot. He's good. He's very good. But he's not there. I do think that Rodan is just better. But I love that we agreed on Amajiki. Previously, you guys didn't have Godzilla at all on your list, and he shot all the way up to 3rd place, which is awesome. But you guys still value things like Overhaul. You're still valuing Endeavor pretty high. I'm pretty sure I had Endeavor down. I guess I had Endeavor here at 9th. You guys have him up at 7th. Oh, you know what? Here's what we can do. Let's compare list. And so, like, Elder Togoro is, like, super close together. Toga is pretty close together. You guys didn't have Toga at all on your list, and you guys popped her up. Our Godzilla spots were pretty close. I love that we hit Amajiki perfect. Rodan is perfect. Like, our top row is pretty good. I think the big thing that you guys are missing is, like, your pony is all the way down here at 21st, where I have her up at, like, 5th. And you guys had a lot of things come off of your list, which I think is pretty telling of like how you guys have felt about the format changing pre versus post. And I don't know how to figure out if you even want to call it who won the comparing the lists. But I think this is a fun, neat exercise. It's a fun, cool exercise. So with that, what do we have to do now? And it's very simple. We have another survey. out right now. You can find it in the description down below. We have the pre-season 3 Attack on Titan survey. I'm going to be shooting this link out to everyone everywhere, and it's doing the same thing. It's which of these 2 characters do you think is a better character in UniVersus, and you guys will find your list. I'll find mine, and I promise I will have this list done in the next week and a half. And so get voting as quick as you can, and we'll see what do you guys think is happening before the set even comes out. Who do you think are the good characters, so we can see how the lists change, grow, adapt, evolve. So with that said, you guys, thank you much for hanging out on this video. A bit of a long one. I do appreciate it, but we will see you in the next one.